Right, man. That was not a long drive, Ken Smyers, man. We are here at a very cool event, Kenny.
Really is, Eric. The whole district activity team's here. Scott Hamilton is going to be taking the stage soon. Laura's going to be taking the stage.
So did you get involved with this in the beginning?
The new unified technology that's on display. This building is lights out and it's beautiful.
Smart BT.
And the shade control just kicked in. So you got even started the presentation. It's actually again, every 2 years by district, the building that indicates the best use of lighting and technology for the user occupant experience.
No, very cool. So, yeah, we started maybe live a little bit premature, but we're going to turn the camera on so you can get a look at some of the players that are here. And Kenny might give you a little bit of the blow by blow. There we go. So we turn this way. And now we get the man again.
Well, again, they're waiting for a couple more of the VIPs to arrive, but this got some media around here beyond Controltrends, and it's a very exciting presentation. So this is, again, it's given every 2 years. It's the most unified technology building in North America. So you can imagine how incredibly stiff the competition would be. And then we have BT Technologies, Smart BT. These guys are top systems integrators. We got to talk to some of the other people that provided the reservation service. So it's all about it's about integrating all those little things that make the user experience top notch and future proof. Big word I keep hearing from people talking is that this building's ready to go for the next 20 years. It's ready for the Gen X. It's ready for the millennial expectations. People that are native digital natives, where they grew up, everything was automatic, everything was digital, everything was iPhone, smartphone, and so this building is where they're going to want to work. So it's a really interesting concept. So we're looking forward to the start. We have Lauren getting primed, mic'd up, and all right.
Who's over here? Who's over here?
Well, Lawrence, the CEO of Acuity, we saw him last at Controltrends in Detroit in April. So, or I'm sorry, the start of May 2nd or 3rd. We have the social media representative is Scott Hamilton. He's the vice president of sales in North America.
That's Lauren Jane.
Hi.
So Lauren Jane, tell us a little about this event real quick before we get started.
Yeah, sure. So I don't want to reveal anything because you'll see a lot of things that will be presented today. But basically, we really want to honor this wonderful, iconic building downtown Washington. So we'll let you know more as the event goes on.
Speaking of wonderfully iconic, who is this guy right here? Scott Hamilton. He's pretty wonderfully iconic too, isn't he?
Oh, yes, he is. Maybe he wants to say some words.
Say hi to our Control Trends users. Scott Hamilton.
Eric, Ken, always a pleasure to be with Controltrends. How are you today?
Oh, man.
Fantastic. Glad to see you too. I'm excited. We were at District Center, and I got to tell you, it's such an inspirational space. We're in a connected building with unified technology, and it's really paving the way for, I think, other future tenants and clients to be in this building as well as beyond. So I'm excited to share the story with the community.
It's going to be great, Scott.
Right, look forward to it.
Was I in frame? How do I look? Is my hair okay? All right, perfect.
Yeah, look forward to it.
All right, well, we're just looking at all the dignitaries here. This is going to be something else, like Kenny said. Kenny, let's go over here. I think we got somebody pretty cool.
Like last night, I got 4 hours of sleep in a lazy boy.
Guys, I'm going to interrupt you guys real quick. We're live streaming to the worldwide global Control Trends community. Tell our community about what you guys are doing. You told us earlier about your, let's get you over where you're
All right.
about what your part of this, which is pretty incredible.
So I'm John Vivadelli. I'm CEO of AltraQuest Corporation, and what we do is we've built the reservation platform that connects all of the different pieces of the building systems and the usability for the tenant. So 2 value propositions basically. One is the tenant has a great, easy, wonderful way to go find, use, choose, enjoy assets. Then on the back end, the system is connected into the building systems like Distech controls, so that the sensors in the ceiling of the rooms can sense if people are in there, and then validate that room is actually being used. So it's really cool stuff.
How did you come together into the project? You worked with a Distech partner, which was
Actually, the way it worked was JLL
Okay.
introduced us, and they said, because they knew us from a lot of work that we had done with them, and so they said, hey, we'd love to have you come in and work on this project with us. So then we got introduced to smart building controls, and then smart building technologies, and then Distech controls.
Awesome.
And man, I'll tell you what, this is
Eric, we got to.
This is really good.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
All right, thanks.
It's going to start in a minute. So please introduce yourself.
Journey Williams, I'm the Vice President of Smart Building Technologies. We're the system integrators for this project.
Well done.
Thank you. And I've been taking a lot of personal involvement in this project, kind of to tie all the systems together and help with writing, getting our programming team to write the APIs to speak with all the different systems, such as AgileQuest, DataWatch, other systems, and get it all into one pane of glass, as well as coordinate all of Distech and Acuity's technology into the
So
package.
it might be premature, but congratulations, because I know this is a very prestigious award. It's given out every 2 years, and it's to signify the most probably connected building in North America. One of the top primo buildings, gold leads. So well done, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Come on our show, the Smart Buildings Videocast and Podcast. And
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to sit down and get this show on the video. Kenny and I've been told it's time to sit down, shut up, and let the show get on. So I'm going to do everything I can. Kenny's probably going to have to tie a gag around my mouth to make sure I'm
I'll
quiet.
tell you, you're right on top of it, and well done. It's beautiful, beautiful area here. You can just feel the technology, the way things are connected. The lights shade were just changed again. So as we're getting ready to do the start of this presentation, it's kind of neat that nobody's moving around touching anything. It's all being either done on the laptop or some sort of program that so there's nobody hitting any switches, no dials or anything. So that's truly the cool thing to see the technology actually deployed and working.
No, it is, Kenny. And of course, the thing too that's really cool is that we're meeting all kinds of new players. I mean, we primarily deal with the controls people, the Tritiums, the Distechs, all the major control people. But now you're getting to meet other integrators that are all part of this new sort of evolution of the smart building, which is really, really cool. So, this is what it must be like to be on the Tonight Show, where you're waiting for the show to start and you're just having to create filler, because we want to at least keep our audience somewhat entertained. So, Kenny, I'm going to put this back on you. I'm going to hold the camera and let you do your thing. Tell us a joke.
Well, what did the elephant say to the naked man?
What is the elephant hat on?
How do you breathe through that thing? No, I'm really impressed there because we talked at the Realcomm IBCOM, the last major event conference live. We got to see technology on display. Well, the problem sometimes there is to see how it's actually put into a building, to really see the nuts and bolts, the Missouri test, show me. And so as we see this building, it was 20 years old, Jones Lang LaSalle worked with its partners to put together a building that would become a showcase building, that they could show tenants, this is where we're going to, this is the future. And then to hear the different components, who's responsible for it and the integration, how carefully this is integrated, how the project was managed. All those things become relevant to us because we can now share that information using an example. It's no longer, this is a proof of concept. This building is actually fully functioning, and the tenants here are walking around in an environment that's been designed to be enhancing the user and the occupancy experience to the height, to the level possible by the new technologies.
So our friend Ken St. Clair, he should feel a little bit vindicated here because Ken's been talking about is way beyond just saving the energy. That's kind of the icing on the cake. You got to really create that occupant experience. I think you get operational efficiencies when that comes along too, which I think we'll hear about today. So it's, like I say, it's way beyond just the energy. Now it's how do you create a great occupant experience? Because guess what? I think the real estate business, like everything else, is probably competitive. And if you own buildings, you need to have some sort of a differentiator. And of course, we've talked about the $300 rule, ad nauseum on our show, Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings Videocast and Podcast. And for our listeners who might not know, Kenny, explain that, because I think that really dovetails into what we're talking about. And I would argue this goes beyond a proof of concept to, hey, this has happened. This is the new normal.
Absolutely. I mean, so the basic, quick review of the 300. You spend $3 per square foot, for the the energy. And if you save 50% of that spend, then you save so much, maybe $1.50 per square foot. And the 30-foot metric or 30 square foot metric is if the rent, the utilities, the overhead, the expenses. You can always be better at that and save money. But the real nugget, the real gravy is in that 300 metric, and that's where you make the occupants more productive. That's where you make sure that you retain tenants. That's where you really drive home where the technology interfaces with the user to make them anxious to come to work. Instead of being, I don't want to go to the office today, the air keeps blowing in my face, the sun, I can't get the sunlight, the right lighting in my office, I get headaches, migraines because the lights are bothering me. These things can be fixed, and this is the technology that does that. So at 300 metric, now you make increase the productivity inside the workspace. You are really driving, you're creating a business case that warrants to make the spend on this technology because it has a result. It has a metric that's measurable now, and it's really exciting. And then we saw last week or 2 weeks ago, Michael Dolly lighting from Salvador Welch. Yeah, Mr. Salvador Welch Dolly put a 3,000 metric in there to say that it really goes way beyond $300. That a building's value, if it's really brought up to technology standards that are available, it really, you don't know where the savings and the business cases go because it's almost exponential. So like this building here, I would imagine it's in the heart of Washington, D.C. It's beautiful inside and out, but I would imagine this is a place for people, the prestige of the building speaks for itself, and tenants are proud, they love to come to work here. It's visible, it's tangible.
It's Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers here, man. We're just minutes away from this, just sort of a groundbreaking event, I think, man. It is so cool that Acuity and Distech get together to honor their partners, and more and more people are coming in, so we should be starting shortly. But Kenny, it's cool. I think we're going to see more and more of this because as you and I talk a lot about, it's also about the marketing, and Distech does a great job with the marketing. So special shout out to Lauren Scott and Laura Jane, some of the marketing people at Distech. They're doing a fantastic job, and man, really excited to see what they come up with. And now maybe a word from our sponsor, DG Logic, who is a sponsor on Controltrends, and we're just going to throw in one for Distech and Acuity, right?
Well, you know what? If you read the brochure, the DG Logic graphic engine is what's producing the visual here. So DG Logic had a nice part of this too. So
show them the graphic real quick.
So as you can see, there's no shortage.
You're gonna have to. You got to talk.
I know. Hey, listen. You know what? I got the pen in my. So it's just really exciting to see again. We're kind of going over things here in expectations of the startup of the actual presentation. But there's 3 gorgeous awards up there. Again, it's a prestigious event. Distech is very, very proud of their partners and have taken great strides to integrate this effort that they can recognize all the contributors, JL, the integrator, buildings, smart buildings, the Eclipse manager, product manager, he's changed projects. We're going to interview him maybe later on. So we're going to talk about how this composite project got started and how long it took to get the wheels going. We're waiting on Lauren from the CEO of Acuity to, I believe, take the stage here. So again, we're kind of in a holding pattern. You might want to take a look at those awards there. Take a look at the...
I'm going to do a closer on the awards. I'll be right back.
How you again?
Eric, I was trying to get the names everywhere. There are the partners right there.
I'm trying to introduce myself. So I'm Monica Sanchez, Media and Analyst Relations with Acuity Brands.
Well, so nice to meet you, Monica.
Nice to meet
Eric
you, too.
Stromquist, Ken Smyers. We're actually, our Controltrends community is getting an opportunity to meet you as we do. So you guys, we're just talking about what a great job you guys do with your marketing. So it's good stuff. We're live streaming this for Lauren and Laura James. So, but you guys do an awesome job marketing. So.
Thank you.
Thank you
Nice to
for
meet you
inviting
both.
us. Eric, as we were talking about, look at the list right here across the board. So it's JL, Light, Smart Building Technology is the integrator, the federal lighting, Distech control, of course, the Eclipse, control and everything, and Light is the lighting program, and then we have the architectural lighting. Go ahead. Why don't you take
You want me to
over?
explain? Sure. Okay, so these are all the brands underneath the Acuity Brands fold. Distech Controls was an acquisition we made for HVAC that is helping us enable this line through IoT just like we would do through lighting. And then our lighting brands here, we have Mark Architectural Lighting, Lithonia Lighting, and Juno that are at play here in this facility. And then from our controls aspect, wired and wireless, we have Enlight platform, and then Atrius as well with the embedded technologies.
That's awesome. So there we go. I've spun a little bit because there's just so much technology on display there too. And I also know that the DG Lux 5 is
Right.
the graphic engine. So
It is the engine, correct.
Right. But which one's the engine on the side?
Actually, I don't have a logo of the engine. It's what's behind Atrius.
I see. Cool. Well, there you go. That shows you all the unified technology. That is unified technology on display.
Monica, it's so nice to meet you. I think everybody's getting quiet, which means we're probably going to start. They're probably
Okay,
waiting for
great.
Kenemy to sit
I'll
down.
go in the back. Nice to meet you.
You excited?
Eric, I'm excited. This is the moment before the big speech, right? Nice crowd, nice place.
Oh, beautiful.
This is a wonderful place.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to District Center. Today, we're going to present the Unified Project of the Year, and we're all excited to be here. And we've got several presenters from Acuity Brands as well as JLL. And we'll have our system integrator speak, Smart Building Technologies, who is really key to this project's success. First speaker that we have is Laurent Verneret, and Laurent Verneret is our Executive Vice President for Acuity Brands and President of the Acuity Brands Lighting and Technology Group. So Laurent, please join us.
Well, thank you, Scott. Thank you. Beautiful day in Washington, D.C. I guess it's great. As I was coming here, I was thinking, what is it that we all share when we have an event like this one? And I think whether it is the owners, whether it is the tenant, whether it is the technology providers, whether it is facility operation and so on, we share two things. A passion and a vision. A passion for making sure that any occupant in any building is going to have a great experience. And a vision that this can be accomplished by making technology choices that are going to enable an environment for all of that. And so we're very pleased as we launched almost now 3 years ago as Acuity Brands, this initiative of what we call connected buildings, which is what we're all about, to have with the 555 project an incredible opportunity to partner between all of the different parties of the building. So as today is a celebration day, so it is not a salesman's day, it's a celebration of something that has been accomplished in partnership. I thought I would say just a few words so that you know where we come from. Acuity Brands actually comes from the lighting world, and since luminaires are a little bit everywhere, we looked at this and said, wow, lights can be, of course, not just for quality of life, but can also be the place where you build a sensory network, where it becomes the backbones. And in the portfolio, as we had the vision that a building, we can and always will continue to manage it as a cost center. And we will also manage it as an element of sustainability. We consume a lot of energy in our buildings. But what if we were to be able to manage it as a cost center and make sure that from the time of building, from the time of running, it is the most efficient building. On the energy side, it's one thing, but what if we were also thinking about a building as a strategic asset? An asset that allows people inside this building to go about their business in a frictionless environment. And our vision of this is, okay, so let's design buildings in a way where the choices that you make today will be valid in the futures, and therefore selecting open architecture, making sure that anything that is IP-based, and then trying to take out of the process of constructing and operating a building, what are the redundancies that exist? Because, again, a building exists way before us, and the technologies have come after us Sometimes it was building technologies of the simplest kind. Then we have lighting controls. We have so many security access. And at one point of time, they all operate in the same building. How do we do such things so that it actually makes it much easier from the time of design, from the time of operations, and that it's seamless to the occupants? So we love to think that, you know, we don't want to see the technology. The only thing that really matters is the experience of the occupants. So today is a celebration for this project that have come to a place where, again, all of the different people involved, again, MetLife first, JLL, choosing some technology partners like Distech, and everybody coming together and making this a reality. So with that element in mind, what I want to share with you is the following things. That passion that we have for the efficiency of a building and for the occupant experience is going to be a journey. And as we have here, of course, some technologies that are implemented today, we have now a platform, and I know we're going to discuss about this, that will enable tenants to actually make additional choices for new apps and then creating that wonderful environment. So I believe that here the thank yous goes to all of the people that have contributed to the project. We will come to a point of giving the awards. The awards is just a way to signify to everyone that the appreciation for the work we've done. But today is also a little bit of a milestone, as we have people that have been looking at the industry for many years. I believe that this building, 555, will be looked at as one of the forefront places where technology was applied, was implemented as a platform and moving on. So for all of this, I think the celebration has something to say about today and what was accomplished today. And what I hope is many celebrations to come for what this building is going to be as a flagship, and hopefully all of us will enjoy the fruit of having such a forward-looking building. I'm going to pass on to Scott. We have an interesting agenda where we're going to get a few of the presentations going, and then we're going to take a tour, which I think is going to be exciting for everyone. So thank you to all here involved. Scott, you want to say a few words more?
Yeah, sure, Laurent. And I've got some slides to share as well. I'll go through a couple of these. Well, welcome everybody. And I say welcome to the brand new District Center, because I think even though this building has been originally constructed in 1998, I think this building's really just come to life with technology. And certainly congratulations, extend that to what Laurent said, to MetLife, to JLL, to Acuity Brands, Smart BT, and Federated Lighting as well, because I think collectively this group really understands what it really takes to achieve a vision and implement it. So congratulations to you as a group. You know, I think we're at a really dynamic time right now when it comes to what it means to be connected. I think if we look at, you know, what's happening, the emergency of the next generation coming into the marketplace and their expectations. I think you also look at the mobile apps that really are popping up on a daily basis that really are redefining our expectations as individuals. And those same expectations are being required by new employees coming into the market, as well as, you know, existing people that have been employed for quite a long time. And so I think as we look at those new expectations, what I can say to you is that District Center is really ready for whatever comes its way, because it's laid the necessary enabling infrastructure for a future-ready building. So 55% of the workforce expects to work in a smart and connected building by 2023. And the great thing about District Center is that it's already optimized to take advantage of some of the key metrics for employers like employee retention, for example, right? So enabling a superior occupant experience allows those employers to actually retain employees through that occupant experience. And when I first came on board with Distech Controls, I remember specifically sitting down with Laurent, and Laurent talking about the importance of us educating our clients on having their buildings become strategic assets. And it became very clear very quickly that through our IP technology and our open APIs, that we're really able to allow our clients the ability to change their buildings from just ordinary spaces to something that's really more strategic, and also allows them to optimize their business. 90% of our lives, up to 90%, is really spent indoors. And so if we look at the occupant experience of being indoors, especially Monday through Friday, we're in the office, the occupant experience is extremely important. It's critical. And if you look at employee satisfaction, employee engagement, and even productivity, these are things that are directly impacted due to employee experience, occupant experience. And today at District Center, you're leveraging the building solutions to enable that experience for your people. The other thing about it is, through the technology that was chosen, it's truly open technology. And that means that the building owner can provide and choose whatever service provider they would like to choose, because it actually allows them to save money beyond just energy savings. So open technology means you get to choose your own service provider for your building. The other thing is, every building, I think we think about just District Center, which is at the forefront of Pioneer, but every building, whether built in 1998 or 1918 or 2019, can be a future-ready strategic asset. And I'd say even more so than any connected building that's brand new, that's popping up out of the ground right now, that's leveraging non-connected legacy technology. So age of the building is irrelevant. It's what's laid as the infrastructure that allows it to be future ready as well. So if you look at the technology that's been leveraged on this project, it really allows the building to scale up for the future and the future needs of tenants. So digital signage, space utilization, asset tracking. There's also customized scene control. There's also tenant experience apps. There's conference room booking. There's a lot going on that the building can really take advantage of. And so, there's going to be a lot shared with you over the next several minutes from the remaining of the speakers, but I want to give you a little bit of a flavor from an occupant standpoint, why it's so important, it's so critical that we focus here. So again, congratulations to Jones Lang LaSalle. Congratulations to MetLife. You've really enabled this building to be ready for whatever comes your way in the future that nobody today in this room can really predict. So thank you for that. I'd like to hand it over to Jan Palmore from Smart Building Program, Jones Lang LaSalle. Thank you. Yeah.
I apologize, I have to change decks here, folks. Okay, welcome. Good morning. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks to Distech for this award and recognizing kind of what has happened here at District Center. And a big thanks to, I think, everybody in the room who participated on this project at every level. It took a lot. There was no one solution or mind that came to the table to make this happen. So we're delighted to talk a little bit more about it today. For me, working in the smart building industry, it's always a little frustrating because so much of this technology happens behind the drywall. And so when users and occupants go out to conferences, they see technologies that are very kind of in your face and touchy-feely, but they don't understand kind of what has to happen on the back end. So what we'll talk about a lot today is kind of all the lift that it took to get here to build a technology platform that enables those experiences to happen over time, and to support kind of a scalable approach, right? This building will now adapt, right? We've got a good infrastructure in place. Just a quick background on the building itself. It is owned by MetLife in Norges. It's about 1 million square feet. When we approached Jim and team, who you'll meet in a moment, a couple years ago, they had recently acquired the building, and they were going to renovate it. They knew they had to make some changes, specifically around controls. And they wanted to know what they could do differently. They were looking to differentiate this building in the market. And so when you think about it, there's new buildings going up around the area that have the luxury of starting from scratch, right? But they wanted this building to be special. And they thought they could do that with technology. So, so the question was, how can we use technology to differentiate this building and enable a very different experience for the tenants who come to it? So what did we do? We started with kind of this framework of breaking down, well, what is a smart building? And we think it's effectively kind of 4 big pieces, right? It starts with the platform, all right? To have a smart building, you need to have systems that can talk with one another, and they need to talk a common language so they can start sharing information and enabling new sequences, enabling new intelligence. So it starts with, let's get a platform in place that will scale with you, right? That will allow this communication to happen. Then on top of that, we need to put some systems, right? We need new HVAC controls, new lighting controls, a new security system. Let's put those on top of that and have them start sharing information. Now, once we have these systems that are plugged into a smart infrastructure and they're sharing data, how do we get intelligence out of that? So that's the next layer. So what do we use this new information for? How can we better run the building? How can we make the tenants happier? What can we do with it? And then last but not least is once you've done these things, right, how do you start to serve that up to human beings? And everybody who walks into this building has a different use for the building. If you're an operator, you have separate needs than if you're a tenant. So how can we make that information available in a meaningful way that can really make your day frictionless, right, and improve your productivity and make you enjoy coming to this space to work. So the scope of the project was this. We needed new building control systems. So lighting, HVAC, energy metering. We also needed new access control and video surveillance systems. We needed to connect these via a new network. So we've installed an air-gapped managed IP network that lets the building systems talk. Those then rolled up into a platform, a user interface platform and a data aggregation platform that allowed all this information to come to one location. And that's really what comprises what is now District Center Smart Building Platform. And this is what everything moving forward will be able to take advantage of and build upon. Again, because the systems are talking and the data those systems are sharing can now be available to any other technology that may come down the path. And as tenants come into the building and they want new experiences, or maybe they have a specific need where they want to use building information, they can tap into this, right? And it's available to them. So they, not only is that an amenity, but it also saves them money, right? They don't have to have, because the ownership hasn't made this investment and has put this platform in place, it makes it a lot easier for tenants to do some really interesting technology deployments in their own space. So this was the scope of our project. And what was it really driving, right? Talked about differentiating the building. But the idea here is right, we start to put in some new sensors, some new technologies into the building. We start pulling that data into one place so we can enable some next generation amenities. And as we all hear at conferences and webinars, data is the new gold, right? So how can we pull that out of the building and then make it available via different interfaces to the tenants and operators of the building? So this is kind of the vision and the concept where all these decisions being made we're driving towards. How do we do it? So with our partners who were successful in kind of bringing the right technology suite to our design bid, which is Distech and the SBT team, we implemented kind of this technology stack in the building, which includes this integration component, which I talked about before. There's also security controls, so the physical access into the building, video surveillance, all tied in. And then we have our HVAC and lighting controls. What's really been interesting to me through this project is how much of this now happens on pretty much the same hardware. In the past, if you've been in this business, a lot of this would be very siloed. Now it is all happening in very similar hardware. And this gives you a lot of flexibility, a lot of ability to do some interesting things. And we had a lot of interesting questions come up throughout the project. And it was nice because that hardware platform was able to adapt. I mean, we had multiple occasions where we either be it Distech or SBT or MetLife or the property management team here would come to us and say, can we do something? And because of the flexibility of the platform, we were able to 99% of the time say yes. So that was really nice. So we got the hardware platform in place, and then kind of throughout this whole process, we've been thinking and talking about human interfaces. What should those be? What should they look like? And that's going to be a conversation that probably continues for some time until the right, the sweet spot is found for the building and the tenants. But there was a lot of thought put into it, and we did a lot of modeling and kind of came up with several different ways to serve up, again, this information to different user groups, because the engineering team needs a different set of data. They need a different interface. The property managers need a different interface. The ownership needs different information. So how do we start to tease those out of this connected system? And then last but not least, the tenants need something different. So one of those was kind of we kind of boiled it down to two major interfaces for the tenants. One of those was a digital screen. And I should pause here by saying that the project that I described to you earlier was getting the infrastructure in place, which was behind the drywall. People didn't really see it. It's, unless you're in the business, maybe it's hard to understand and grasp why that would be smart, because there's nothing really to see and touch. Well, the ownership built out some spec suites that are downstairs that we'll see on the tour later. And that was really the first opportunity to demonstrate, to have the proverbial tire that you could kick and start to show tenants what this means. And so this was our opportunity to start taking those interfaces and putting them in place in a built space. This is digital screens, digital signage, and our objective here was really to kind of build upon the platform that had already been established and started in the lobby of the building, but to start making it more dynamic and pulling in building information. So today when you walk into the spec suite, it's not only can you see kind of general information about the building, how quickly the next metro is going to arrive, how long that Uber is going to take, but you can also start to see some information about the space itself. So is the conference room that I reserved, is it still on the schedule? Who's on either side of me of that conference, or is there an open room right now? That's all been pulled in. Also, these spec suites, if you're a tenant that is trying to do something like hot desking, so changing your working environment where people aren't assigned to desks, maybe we should give those users some new information, like if I'm hot-blooded, what's the cool spot on the floor? So this screen also gives you a nice thermal map of the floor to say, okay, here's kind of the temperature gradient over the floor. So if I'm a warm-bodied person, I might elect to go select a seat that's in a colder area of the space. And quite frankly, because it's digital, it can be changed, right? The content here can be adapted over time. That platform that has been put in place can expose all sorts of data, which can be visualized in the screen, and truly the sky's the limit. And so as new tenants come in and as the needs of the space change, we have this canvas that is flexible and can adapt to it. So this was one thing we had done. Next, this building is a public space. Even though there are tenants that lease spaces, there are common shared amenities that everybody can use. And that was a big piece of what MetLife and ownership wanted. They want these spaces being used. They wanted to offer them up to the building. So we needed a platform to make that happen. And so we were able to work with a vendor here, AgileQuest, who they have a cloud-based platform. We were able to build integrations at the cloud level and tie it into this building system. And so now tenants can come in and they can book rooms, see what's available, see what's not available. And again, that pops up on your building screen. So those were put in place for the tenants. Then there's your environment, your personal environment in these spaces, and so we think about lighting and temperature mostly, but we wanted ways for the tenants to be able to interact with that. And so there's a variety of different applications on the market. There's some third-party, There's some that come with the hardware itself. And then we can actually now take the same interface that the building engineers use and adapt that for use by tenants, right? So we use the same information, but we can, through a web interface now, graphically show that in a way that's built out specific for tenants. But the point here is that there's the flexibility to do that, right? It's not that any one of these is the right thing, but we have the flexibility with the connected platform to feed any of them, right, over time. So what are the outcomes of all this? We have some friends from DC SEU in the room. Having this connected technology really improved how well the building operated. So the expectation is that we're going to see about a 15 to 20% energy reduction. And it was great that DC SEU was able to look at that as an energy performance measure. So there were actually some incentive funds that we've pursued as part of this project to really capture the good work that was done in managing the building's energy spend. We're also getting real-time data from all throughout the building for sustainability reporting and other uses. And then as the recurring theme here, right, we now have a platform that really can drive a different user experience for tenants in the building that they can tap into. So what does that kind of translate into when you're coming to evaluate space in Washington, D.C.? Here at District Center, you have lots of new options now, right? So any given tenant can come in and control their space, book a conference room, check out, like I've described to you, local transportation, events happening in the building. They can use, figure out how they're using their space, right? These lights now tell you where people are when they're, when those spaces are being used. There's really interesting utilization data that's now coming out of this connected lighting system. The days of carrying your badge around, while they still exist, in this building, they're gone. Use your mobile phone to badge into the building. So I know that's something I love, and I think a lot of the tenants love, because you don't have to keep up with another thing. So you can access your space with your mobile phone. The property management team has also set up agreements with vendors that, again, kind of buy into this picture where you can order lunch and get food services here in the building, again, without leaving your desk, through a mobile experience. So it's kind of changing the way that we hope tenants start to think about the kind of buildings they want to be in. And I think our hope is that the ability to visualize it in ways like this really does help differentiate District Center and make this a more attractive place to be. So with that, I will end unless there are any questions about the project. Okay. Scott, back to you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, now for thanks, Jan.
The tours, they can ask questions. Sorry, question?
Oh, okay, we'll hold off for the question. Or?
That's all the questions you want on the tour.
I have 100 questions.
Where to begin? Now for the fun part, we get to recognize these three visionary companies for their participation in this project. Jan's going to get back to the awards here in just a moment, but once every 2 years, Distech Controls recognizes a visionary project that basically brings together unified technologies of lighting and BMS. And so it's a really special award. We had a significant number of entries that are actually entered by our system integrator partners globally. We have over 500 partners globally that are system integrator partners. And so we had a tremendous amount of nominations. And for the 2018-2019 award, we recognized District Center for the level of connectedness and unification from lighting and BMS. So there's three companies we'd like to recognize. The first company is our system integrator partner, our authorized Distech Control system integrator partner, and it's Smart BT. Paul Mang and Mike, or look, Ron, please come up, please join. Mike, would you like to come up? Please do. Congratulations.
Thank you. Very nice. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. And also one of the other visionaries behind this project is the Smart Buildings Group behind Jones Lang LaSalle and the Property Management Group as well. So we'd like to recognize Dan Burns to the stage. And finally, we'd like to recognize the owner, MetLife, who had the vision to bring this all to reality, Jim Landau. Congratulations. Jim, feel free to say something if you'd like, not put you on the spot.
So, just very briefly, thank you, Scott, Lawrence, Journey, Jan. You know, when we had the vision to, when collectively we had the vision to maybe embark on this, honestly, I mean, I certainly, and at MetLife, we had no idea what we were getting into. You know, thank you, Diane and team, for really holding our hand and leading us through it. You know, Jan, this would not have happened without you, you know, and your patience, you know, so thank you so much. You know, I still, you know, in a year, if I hear you do your presentation 5 more times, 10 more times, maybe I'll start to understand what we've done. So thank you, everybody. You know, Paul, Journey, I don't think I've been in this building in the last 2 years. We haven't run into you. You know, at some point, you probably need to go to the next project.
That's a good idea.
And then, you know, I'll just say, and collectively, I mean, this is on all of us. I think the thing that we need to think about is, so how do we use this? And you know, ownership, you know, our management team, our leasing team, you know, we all need to understand this, you know, because we can't sell the vision to, let's say, prospective new tenants that are looking at shiny space down the block, you know, it really won't, you know, be of any use, right? So I think it's going to be a collective, you know, ongoing, years-long process to really embrace what we've done, build on the capabilities that Jan talked about, and I mean, I know at MetLife and at JLL, you know, we look forward to that challenge. So thank you, guys. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to call up Smart BT, Paul May, and Journey Williams.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I tell this story quite often, because I've been in the business for decades now. And as Jan had suggested, most of our work is behind the scenes, right? Nobody ever sees the work, effort that we do, and even the result, quite frankly. They just come in, the light should be on, temperature should be right, everyone's good. And, but technology keeps changing, adapting. And now we've gone from the boiler room, and I go up to the boardroom, right? So how great it is that we're in this conference space, not quite the boardroom, but the penthouse conference room, and what a building. So, Jim, thanks for your support and guidance through this, and Jan and company, of course. It was truly a team effort getting here. So I also want to recognize Distech Controls and Acuity Brands. Because at the end of the day, for whatever we do with Smart BT, it's the technology, that enabling technology that allows us to do this unified project, right? That brings all these different silos together, so that as you're looking at your smart app, right, your smartphone, the ability to kind of cross-connect between your access control and your temperature or your lighting control, schedule the room software. So it's really exciting times for the industry, and quite frankly, taking something that we've already taken for granted for so long. Let's turn on the light switch, and that light now becomes an asset, right? So beyond just the fixture itself or the HVAC stat. So very exciting. We'd like to talk a little bit about the project today, kind of the technology behind the scenes that allows us to do this. I've invited Journey here, as Jim had suggested. Journey's been here quite a bit, and acted as our CTO for, throughout the process, but has done a great job. And Mike Schmitz, my business partner, through his guidance of the team, delivered a top-notch product.
Thank you very much. Really what got me excited about this project, besides the fact that it's a mile from my house, so it makes it very enjoyable to come to, is the complexity and the amount of integration that's here is beyond what most other buildings in the country and the world have. But more than that, it's the backbone being provided, as Jan spoke of, to allow the next generation of technology to come on top of it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's here, and I'll probably be skipping over some slides because a lot of it's been covered by others. But really, what is a unified system? Well, as we talked about it with Distech, and the main reason that we've chosen to work with Distech and Acuity is their openness and openness of software, openness of hardware, and the ability for anyone to come in and integrate to it, and also allow us to integrate to anyone else. So we have the metering, the HVAC, and the smart lighting as part of the Acuity package. But we're also able to come in and bring in AgileQuest, bring in Optigo, bring in other components into the system, and it all works together seamlessly. Why do you do it? So the easiest answer has always been energy in the past. And this is from the Department of Energy, showing that in Baltimore, on average, if you connect the lighting system to the HVAC system and use the occupancy sensor, you'll save a little over 6 cents a square foot on energy. Which also actually, 7 cents, it's 6.5%. And that typically will help you fund the project in doing the unification. And that's always what's been the driver in the past. But what's really important about it is not the energy savings. The energy savings, in my view, are a great benefit and a reason to do it in itself, but really the reason is for the tenants and for the occupants. But until you get a project like this, you can't get it to them. So that's a little bit of the reasoning. This kind of went over. This shows how with Acuity's controller, it's actually one controller that does both the lighting and the HVAC, so that there's no information being passed over a network cable. There's a lot less components to break. If anything gets disconnected, if a network goes down, there's a lot more resilience in it. And that's really the backbone of the system, where you have these installed all over the building. And this is the part that you don't see. And then it'll come out to the part that you do see afterwards. This is how it shows how it's modular. So you can add different points in connection information as well as the lighting system into the same, basically computer that controls everything and puts the programming in. Jan earlier showed a very simple architecture, which is what we're moving to. And that's what the new infrastructure is, which is a flat line of the controls across one level. This shows a little bit more of a hybrid, which is what we envision happening in this building with the existing tenants, as with the new tenants staying more on the flat line. So the IP architecture allows you to come and bring every component from the end of the line straight into the user interface. But we understand that you can't do that all in one step. So there'll be tenants in the building that'll have legacy systems. And this is more of the old approach, where you can then take and put an interface and bring that up and still utilize that data because of the infrastructure that the team has put in place. It's very easy and more cost effective now to be able to take and bring in legacy systems, to bring in new systems, and then as tenants fit out, as new tenants come in, add extra features and extra abilities, but still be able to leverage all the data. There's lots of different things like In a couple of places here, we actually had to use wireless jumps from one controller to another because like one of the only ones that's a really great example that everyone would notice is down on the F Street entrances, you've got a big round stone, what is that, cornicus entryway, and there's no way to get a new wire into there, and the old wire wasn't capable of bringing all the information we needed. So we were able to do a wireless jump there and seamlessly tie it in to the system as if it was wired. So this kind of goes back to what everyone has been talking about today. The whole reason of putting this back of house system in is the occupant. And as we come through, here are some of the things of why and how. You can take and let them integrate their work, personal life. You can help them integrate their comfort and their experience throughout the day. That's not what we're doing in this situation, but that's what we're enabling. And so that's really the whole reason for doing the unified beyond the energy savings. The energy savings are great, and but it's not what's going to motivate new tenants to come in. It's not what's going to motivate the boardrooms as much as it makes the occupants happy. And that's the real reason that we're excited about this project, is it's a way to implement that and show it, and we appreciate everyone's help in getting there. Again, this is just kind of showing this is one of the heat mapping areas of the spec suite where we'll be showing a gradient where you can go and choose from one area of another. This is showing where we're integrating AgileQuest's information into the system to be able to be displayed in whatever means the building wants, be it for a tenant, be it for the ownership, be it for signage. So really I want to end it with the real reason for the system is by pre-positioning the hardware, having every floor, whether it has a new tenant, whether it has an existing tenant, already has a lighting system in place. We're controlling the common area lights. So a new tenant or an existing tenant doesn't have to invest in that base hardware and base programming to simply extend it into their space. So they can take and plug into the existing network that MetLife already funded, and at a lot less cost to them, add all these features. So that's really what I applaud the forward thinking of the team for. And then I kind of wanted to invite everyone back up, since I'm the last presenter before the tour, from the presenters, and ask for questions that the audience may have. More, I think you had?
Should step out for a second.
Oh. Anyone else have any questions?
Sure. What was the overall time frame for pulling this together from design to implementation?
It's approximately 2 years from kind of the visioning to design and implementation. So 2017, 2018, that really this work was put in place, and then into this year, really the spec suites opened up early. Actually, no, late last year. As kind of the demonstration. So about a 2-year process overall.
You know, the project was somewhat pioneering, right? And accumulation of these companies is really the first time. If we were to, let's say, kick off a similar project in another building in DC or anywhere in the US today, how quickly do you think we might be able to, get it done?
It's a trick question, but but the short answer is we could do it a lot more quickly, because we actually established a lot of architecture standards in this project and in this building that we would reuse, right? So again, we've set the framework that is easily repeatable, and we actually built it to scale. Even the network addressing schema is built to scale beyond just this building. So kind of the network standards as well as the hardware platform, they're all able to scale. And in fact, for this building, right, we now have some new kind of smart technology guidelines for tenants that have a lot of that in place. So as they come in and as they have new work going on, they can now, they have a nice, more succinct document that says, okay, here's how I can get value out of this system as well. So all of this is meant to scale over time.
If I can add to that, a lot of what we see today and what we're experiencing is relatively new to the marketplace. Acuity Brands and Distech Controls are leaders in the industry in providing IP-based technologies. So a couple of years ago would have been a little bit of a challenge because we're way outside the box. Now it's more commonplace, so that you should be able to expect from manufacturers such as Acuity, IP-based products that provide all sorts of sensing technologies well beyond just the fixture.
And a lot of times kind of went into making the integration to the different partners that now wouldn't have to be duplicated again at different sites. With existing partners and with new partners, we now know all of the correct questions and procedures to bring them in.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that. I'm John Vivadelli with AltraQuest, and so we're the tenant experience app that people actually touch to be able to book things and understand what the utilization of things is and find the availability of space and other assets. But it's also the relationships between the companies that is so critical. I mean, so we get to know each other, we get to know what our strengths are, we get to know each other's products, and man, that is so important. It's just not the technology, it comes down to people, and it's people partnerships that make a lot of the difference as well. So being able to understand, you guys know us a lot better, with JLL, Distech, and I've made some new relationships here this morning that can really take this to the next level. Things like A to B wayfinding. There's no reason why that shouldn't be integrated with the reservation system, and the ability to control temperature of rooms with the reservation system, the ability to connect to security systems. So when a person comes in, I know who you are, I'm going to make sure that the temperature of the place that you're going to fits what you need. So there's a lot of more things that can happen, and that's a beauty of the relationships and the partnership and the structure that's put in place. And then it's not just this building, but it's tying this building with the other $70 billion worth of assets that MetLife has, so that it looks like and feels like a network of places to go to work, not an individual place to go to network or to go to work. And so that's a fantastic value to the tenant. I can go anywhere. I'm a tenant. I can go here. I can go there. I can go to California. I can go here. And be able to access all of those places is really a cool thing.
Yeah, so hello everyone. I'm an existing tenant here at the building. I'm with FTI Consulting. So first of all, congratulations to the team. This is a tremendous project. It sounds like it was a very long project where you learned quite a bit, and I think you said 2 years. So my question would be, as an existing tenant, how quickly can we benefit from the platform that was put in place? Obviously, I know it depends on whether it's reservation system or security, all the different components. But can you give an idea of how quickly that process would take, and what it would take to get involved in that?
I'll start. There's some things you're hopefully already taking advantage of. So badging into the building with your mobile phone.
Sure.
So some of these things you've already taken advantage of. I apologize, I don't know which floor you're on.
We're on 7, and we are doing that, by the way. So.
Okay, so you were able, so there is, instead of, so other things you can take advantage of immediately is this dedicated building network, right? This network isn't tied to any one system. It's a separately managed IP network. So as you're evaluating kind of the experiences that you'd like to deliver in your space, right, that common framework network is there for you to take advantage of if you want building data. So those are things that are in place today. Then there's some nice features and functions that come out of this platform, this particular technology platform, that you can speak with any of us about how you might incorporate those into your space. So I guess it just depends on the experience you're trying to drive in your office. But we are, you're not going to have to wait to have a network built out. You're not going to have to wait to have standards set up in place to figure out how these systems are going to link and tie together. All those interfaces have been developed. So from a tenant perspective, this is going to go a lot faster than if you tried to do it on your own. Orders of magnitude faster. And I can tell you a lot of these integration points when the various different vendors and manufacturers are coming together making these systems talk just doesn't happen like that. It takes a lot of coordination. All that heavy lift really has been done. So I would say there's a lot you can take advantage of today. The real next step is deciding, maybe how do I want to change my space? How do I want to change my own experience? And then we can work with you to figure out how do you do that? How do you leverage all this stuff to do that?
I think the strategy for MetLife is, hey, the tenant ought to be able to use the same platform that's managing and measuring and finding the availability of the amenity space. That same platform is available to you and your people, so that one app allows the people to find space in your tenancy for your rooms, connected to the whatever infrastructure you have, digital signage, et cetera. Same platform, they don't have to go to another one, they can just use the same platform inside and outside, and that's what we deliver.
And really, I wanted to echo a lot of what Jan was saying. There's a lot of it that's already there and you are utilizing and you don't realize it. Things like scheduling overtime and special events and booking this conference room. It's all happening on our system, just not necessarily visible to you. And that's where we've always been behind the drywall before, and where we're hopefully now coming outside on the other side. As well as a perfect example, there was a space in your office suite that needed to get upgraded, and we were able to do it while you were unoccupied in 2 nights, as opposed to having to rewire and rerun and do a lot of changes for it. And you actually do have some of it installed already, which I can talk to you about.
Sounds great.
And another good way to kind of figure out some of those experiences you might want to consider are being demonstrated down in the spec suites. So if you haven't toured that space, you will today. And it's also, in a lot of ways, a lab for the building to start, implementing these things and having people use them and say, we like that, or we don't like that, or that makes sense for my organization, or it doesn't make sense for my organization.
I look forward to it, and thank you.
Yeah.
I think our opportunity is integrating our global vision that we're doing in FTI, integrating what you have here in the building. So look forward to discussing more.
And I would say anything where you think your organization can benefit from either using building data, right, or any information you want to get out of the building, it's there, right? It's just you gotta say I want it, and it's aggregated, it's available, via an API interface, and you can get to it.
Great.
So the question I have is regarding network security. So is the building's network security safe enough to protect the building from data and terrorism and vandalism or natural disasters?
Yeah, that's a great question. For those of you who didn't hear it, the question was, is the building network protected from a lot of cyber attacks that you might hear and read about? Yes, no. We always say no network is impenetrable, but this, first and foremost, this network is managed. It's managed by a third party. It sits behind a firewall. Every device that went on this network has been authenticated. So you can't kind of just spoof and jump on the network. So there are a lot of really best practices that have been put in place on this network to make it secure. And when you compare that to a lot of other builds where the network may not be managed or may not even have anybody thinking about security around it, we feel it's leaps and bounds in front of others.
I would say,
Scott,
as
you
a
may want to speak to Distech Controls, embedded technology, and security.
I'll let Eric speak a little bit. Eric Sweeney's already Eclipse product line product manager. If I can speak a little bit more to it.
Yeah, thanks. So the Eclipse series of controllers, which is what's here for HVAC and lighting controls, they support all of whatever the latest ciphers that are latest and greatest. Same thing with TLS versions. We have multiple different penetration tests that we've done. We are certified to live on any government network. So the controllers, and that's even at a device level, something that'll control air that goes into a room, has the ability to be logged into, has the ability to make intelligent decisions, and all of those carry the same exact security for the next, which is something that's constant. I mean, you can read about the vulnerability that's released in something almost weekly, but it stays on top of it. All of the controllers run Android operating system inside of them, which is was a really great decision because Android's such a big platform that when there is a security vulnerability, the community will fix that pretty quickly within a matter of hours usually. So for us to be able to implement a security patch update, it's just a matter of a firmware update to all the existing controllers that are on the site. And it can happen, and those happen really, really quickly. Another thing that I'd say is best practice for any kind of cyber security is it's a very high probability that anything that happens on a network happens from inside the network rather than someone sitting outside trying to get into your facility. So it's very important for anybody who's accessing any system to regularly update their passwords, use strong passwords, don't use USBs, try not to plug things into random networks. It's a group effort, it's cybersecurity. It's not just something that says, okay, we're secure or we're not secure. It's something that is a practice that's ongoing.
And I would like to really applaud Jan and team for, this is probably one of the best, most secured network designs that I've seen out there outside of data centers and hospitals. I would say that it rivals most of those as well. But very few other buildings that I've been in have put this type of thought into the system. And it's been a pleasure to work with.
Thank you.
Was there any consideration also for cellular service as well?
Jim, there's a question about, has there been any consideration for cellular service in the building and how that might be addressed? I'll let you answer first.
We've been thinking about, DAS solutions and for some time now. They're rather expensive. The technology's changing, rather rapidly. I can't speak to this intelligently. I'm sure there are other people in the room can, but 5G is going to be here next year. CBRS is on its way. So the world's changing quickly, and we are looking right now actively at a number of different technologies and ways to implement them.
I will say this though, so having a dedicated building network, in this case, we have a common fiber backbone that could potentially be leveraged to support the system that was more carrier-based.
Yes, so the infrastructure is open to cellular.
How do you recognize a building can be transformed into a smart building? Does it have any prerequisites? Like when you have a new building that's in the market, do you have any requirements that need to be met in order to transform it into a smart building?
I think I would answer that by saying, I'm going to go back to that platform piece. What you really have to have is, a network for the systems to talk over, and you have to prescribe kind of the language they're going to speak. And then the third piece of that is when they're speaking, you have to prescribe where that data is going to go live, so that it can be used in other ways. So it's really more of it's a design approach. We believe it can be implemented anywhere. It just, the real drivers, it may cost you a bit more to do it if you're having to rip and replace. Right? But if you put some forth, if you're having to replace either way, if you're at the end of a life cycle, then your cost to make those kind of specifications is, very low. To just say, I want these things to communicate over a network, I want them to use this language. Those are easy decisions that, if made at the right time, will get you a long way in terms of a smart building.
And I'll add to that, making it at the right time and the team's effort to continually educate so that tenants know about it, new and old, and it can be utilized to its fullest is really an important part, the education. And having the building design specs, guide specs for new projects and existing projects really helps to get the message out and to help the building improve even more.
And knowing that 5G is upcoming technology, wouldn't it be, a direction in which the smart buildings might want to explore rather than waiting for the future to happen?
Again, I think it depends on the use case. And
Yeah,
others
I can
weigh
speak
in.
this. I mean, from a product side, right? So my job mainly is to look at what direction technology is going, work with our consumers, and build product that makes sense for what you guys are looking for using the technology, the direction it's going. So 5G is something that's being worked on. It's not commercialized today. So it not being commercialized today means that I can't try to develop a product around something like that. As far as a roadmap, absolutely, it's on the roadmap to see how it's going to affect all of our businesses. Will we develop product around it? Maybe. So these are things that we'll take at and we'll have to assess at the time that it's there. But it's definitely something that, you know, if it's a future technology and it's a standard and it's something, then I can guarantee you that we're going to end up having to be involved with it at some point. So that's the thing is yes, at some point 5G will probably be associated with smart building technologies and specifically stuff that we're developing.
So maybe we pause here and split into two groups and actually go show you some of the space. And I think that'll maybe spur some additional questions and conversation around the building.
And then also to note, there'll be lunch afterwards. So.
Yep, we've got two tours. One we'd ask Jan to lead for the news folks, PR, news outlets, and then we have Connor as well for the remaining crowd. So Jan, you want to head this direction, and then lunches will follow.
Before you split up, if I
Yes.
could have the presentation team, I think we want to get a shot of all of you together real quick.
Okay, sure.
Do you want me to?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the blank piece. Do you have a long?
All right. I didn't do much work.
What?
You're very
What?
nice.
Oh, yeah.
I did the handshaking.
Sorry? No.
It's not a breakfast, it's a champion. It's a lunch of champions.
And then I would also ask the JLL team to stay up here, and the rest of the JLS, we'd like to get a nice image of them. Jim, you're not leaving, are you? Would you like to go the second shot, so I'll have them do one for the JLL team, and then I'll have Maybe I go to grab and then,
Well, I can only say that I'm ultimately impressed beyond the, you know, I knew a lot of good things were happening here, and we did some pre-work to know what the award was about, but to see this, firsthand, and to see the presentations of these professionals, I mean, some of the top professionals we've met, this is truly one of the best use cases, if not the best use case that we've had experience with. So, like they said, I couldn't say any better than what Jan said. This took incredible pre-project coordination. You're bringing together 5 or 6 major players, each an expert in their own particular technology, and then it comes together so succinctly, and that ultimately in front of the tenants here, they were able to give this presentation, get the feedback from the tenants. So indeed, ultimately, it does deliver on this most enhanced occupant experience that we've seen to date.
It was really, really cool, Kenny. And then, we're hopefully going to take on the tour here. So for our YouTube live streamers, hopefully this is okay. We're kind of doing this on the fly. Normally we'd have it a little bit more prepared, but we're rolling with the punches. So if you're liking this, give us a thumbs up or reach out in comments and just let us know. But yeah, we're going to follow the group and do the tour, so stick with us. And we're going to go from there, buddy. And then we're going to have some lunch, but we're going to turn the camera off for lunch.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, where's our group?
I'll take you this way.
Congratulations, Martin.
Yeah. You know what though?
They all have the only media, so let's get this group out here as well.
Okay, well, hopefully you'll send some more with us.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Where's my cameraman?
Come on.
Do you want me to take care now?
It's intimidating, Eric, when you follow
Well
us like
done,
this
buddy.
with a camera. You know, it's
John and
like.
Eric, well done.
Eric,
Very good,
nice to
man.
meet you,
Nice to
Jan.
meet you as well. Hey, how you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice to meet you, man.
Trey Barno with me. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So this is how we roll at these meetings, in case you ever want to know, man. So a lot of standing around, shaking hands, smiling. We're all just waiting for lunch, but it was a great presentation.
All right, is this a group?
I guess so. How many two? Do we need any more? Should I
Up to,
grab
yeah,
a few others?
yeah, let's grab one or two more and there'll be a crowd then.
Hit the weight limit of the elevator.
That's right, we'll hit the weight limit of the elevator.
Perfect. Go. You staying on the boat?
I am.
Yes.
I was thinking about it.
Very impressive. All the speakers were very, very.
All right, let's
Their
we'll head
expertise
down to
was
this
evident.
elevator.
Yeah, this is good. I think everybody's in this for the same reason.
I'm not sure, but we're thinking maybe Jan is calling the elevator with a smartphone.
It is about thinking about it in the front.
All right, so now you can ask all the detailed questions.
The vision and the passion.
That's been from the crowd.
Is that big enough to take all of these?
Not all of us. I'll take the first.
Very impressive.
Group one, we have